Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm looking at my newest song that's coming out called Fuego. This is a very heavily inspired Latin beat that I actually first created when I first moved into this studio. So it's a bit of an older beat. So we're going to take a look at this and see some of the things that I did back then and whether or not I would still make those same moves if I were to make this song today. Before we get into the details, before I show you all my work and give you some tips on mixing, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you know when my next video is coming out. All right, let's take a look. The song started with a sample that I found from Kashmir. It's a nice guitar beat, really Latin inspired, real vibey. So the first thing I have is a towel filter 2 just to modulate the volume gate very slightly. You can hardly tell. Then I added a bit of channel EQ, cut some of the lows, boosted highs, and a little cut around 1500. Added some vinyl effects. You could see it's very, very minimal effects. And I also added some soft tube saturation. This is, again, just kind of boost some of the highs, give a little presence. Also added some chorus, about 35% mix. And then, of course, OTT. And then, of course, here, something I like to do is just cut everything off at the end and just kind of leave that last clap and then have a riser to kind of bring us into the next section. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the drums and just kind of see the vibe I was going for here. And then from there, I'm just going to show you something I added. Just simple piano parts, just kind of accenting certain notes from the sample. And as you can hear, as always, in the piano, I always like adding those kind of notes that make it feel kind of mysterious a little bit. For the piano, I just have OTT. I scoop some of the lows. Also, real quick, just to touch on the 808, I have a classic analog sub bass. I also have a regular bass here. And the reason why I have this sub bass is because this 808 sounded good, but the low ends were lacking a little bit. So I kind of cut some of it and then use this sub bass for the 808. So if you don't have headphones on, you probably can't hear this sub bass. This is mostly for when you're in the car or if you're listening on, monitors or big speakers. So for this song, I really just wanted to add something new every 8 bars. So basically, the next thing I added after I added those shakers was this acoustic guitar. And this acoustic guitar is an awesome example of always listening to something in the mix, regardless of how it sounds standalone, because this guitar part sounds pretty terrible by itself. So as you hear, that sounds terrible, but listen to it in the mix. So then we have the bridge here. This bridge is a little interesting because this has a lot of push and a pull effect, I guess you can say. So I have 2 instances of this sample that's reversed. So for this version, I added an auto filter and a flanger as well. And for the second instance, I added a bit crusher instead of a flanger. So let's check that one out. So then with that new reverse sample, I added a different bass part. And for this part, I actually layered 3 different basses. I have a retro synth that I'm using, which is a Logic stock plugin. This is more for the highs. I have kind of a low sounding from the retro synth as well. And then I have the classic analog sub bass from Alchemy just to give the lower end. And I've also added some saturation. So let's check these out one by one. You can kind of hear how it's not exactly right on timing, especially the last bass and kick. It kind of has like delayed feeling where you're kind of like, it's like kind of bringing you in a little bit. So if you learned something from this video, if you found it interesting and you want to see me make more videos, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and also turn on those notifications to get notified when I have another video coming out. Thank you guys so much.